Hinging while pregnant isn't that different than hinging while not pregnant, but you might find that your belly gets in the way if you were trying to keep a narrower stance and go into a hinge. So you might have to widen your stance a little bit, and you might have to adjust your range of motion, so possibly not going as low and coming back up. You get a pretty intense curve in your back when you're pregnant, so sometimes that can make it hard to feel like you're getting the hinging motion through your glutes, and you might feel it more in your back. So pay attention to that and adjust your range accordingly, and adjust your stance to accommodate your belly. So you can do a standard hinge where you kind of keep your knees in line with your ankles and you're just pushing back from the hips. I like to inhale as I go back, exhale as I come up. Don't extra overextend. You don't need to over squeeze your glutes. Push your belly out when you come up. So just bring it right up to a straight position. Inhale back, exhale up. You can also do a more standard deadlift variation. So in that variation, you're picking up from the ground. You can let your knees come forward a little bit more. Again, you might need a wider stance because now you're going to go lower towards the ground. Keeping your hips high, your hips and your chest should raise at the same level until you have to stand up. And again, no overextending at the top. So I also like to exhale as I come up, inhale down. Exhale as I come up, inhale down. And again, you can adjust this by putting a block or something underneath your kettlebell or your dumbbell so you're not going down as far. It also can be pretty comfortable to do a sumo deadlift because then you are not worrying about your baby belly at all. So sumo deadlift, get in kind of like a sumo squat position, but instead of having your knees come really far forward, being more upright, you're going to push your hips back up. Exhale as you stand, inhale back down. Exhale as you stand, inhale back down. There's also single leg variations you can do. You can do more of a kickstand deadlift, kickstand hinge. So in this case, you're getting most of your weight on your forward leg, just a little bit on your back leg and more for balance. You can either hold your dumbbell or kettlebell in one hand and hinge back in one leg, again trying to keep your weight on this forward leg, pushing hips back. You can hold it with both hands. You can also add some hip internal rotation as you come down. So if you can see at the bottom of this knee is lower than this one as I'm driving my pelvis into internal rotation over this leg, which gets a little more length through the glutes in the back. There's also nothing wrong with doing your standard single leg deadlift. And you want to get a slight bend in your knee, get your weight on this stance leg, only go down as far as is comfortable, come back to standing. You can do it weighted or unweighted. Exhale to stand. Inhale back. Again, maintaining that slight bend in this knee and moving through a range that is comfortable to you. That is how hinging during pregnancy goes. Move through a range that's comfortable to you. One last tip for hinging while pregnant. If you do find you're feeling it more in your low back than in your glutes, before you set up for your hinge pattern, notice where the weight is. Is the weight in the balls of your feet? Do you need to shift backwards a little bit? You can do that by a slight exhale, bringing your ribs back in space, feeling your weight move to your midfoot and your heel. You'll feel your core activate a little bit more. And what that's going to do is reduce that curve a little bit. And then as you hinge back, think about shining your sits bones towards the wall behind you while maintaining that nice curve with the exhaled ribs, and see if that helps you feel your glutes a little more. And again, if it's coming from your low back instead of your glutes, don't be afraid to let your knees come a little forward as you hinge, and work through a couple of those variations and see if you can feel it more in your glutes than in your low back.